Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take a look here at SUI, see what's going on. We got our head and shoulders play out. That worked out pretty much perfect, specifically for our short position. We got a good 31% over the weekend from a short at like 345 to roughly 320. Okay, so good news is that all worked out very well, but at this point, it doesn't mean we just take a short position with no good reason, right? I do believe Bitcoin is going to continue lower, and if so we should too. But we got to recognize as well, we got this solid support and resistance range right here at about 343. Okay, so it could work as a support if we close above it, possibly today. We got a tremendous amount of volume above the price action too, reinforcing resistance. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards the price pulling back, but at this point here, it's important to recognize both sides of the spectrum. So let's go ahead and double check a few things to make sure we're not just, callously taking longs or shorts based on emotional prowess or some other idiot moon boy telling us what to do. So at this point, first things first, we want to recognize there's a lot of liquidation below 316 and 360 above and below. So those are good areas to understand, because when the price gets close to either one of those, it's expected for the price to wick up or down and to initially reject itself and return from where it came. So we're getting closer to 360. That would make more sense. Just keep in mind 360 is that secondary resistance range for us, and that was that previous point of control, so it makes sense that people have liquidation events right there. Furthermore though, from a macro perspective, 260 to $3 is a magnificently large amount of liquidation. So recognize we get closer to the $3, while that's still a good psychological support for us, there's a decent propensity to continue lower. Now, all that being said, minus all the gaps and the fair value we have on this coin to the downside, we want to recognize that SUI is kind of getting closer to break even here. So it's a good sign, basically implying we have almost as many shorts as we do longs in the market. We're slightly short biased, but for the most part, this is a good trend reversal thing if we were to see that shift in its momentum. So if later today that we shift green there, we see more longs than shorts, and we're above that 343, that seems like a practical consideration for a long, because we do have a manipulative power of 3 structure on the price action. I'll show you here in a minute that I feel may play out. So take a look here. Open interest. This is the last 1 month's worth of open interest. $3 is that heaviest amount of concentration there, but also 337 here locally. So folks are getting in at 343 and 337. Those are 2 heavy concentrations here locally. So it shows a lot of support in this range. Okay, and we're kind of sort of bullish rectangling out here, and I'll show you on the charts that too on smaller time frames. So first things first, let's talk about this manipulative power 3, just so you can kind of understand where my mind's at. Because oftentimes when you see these kind of things happen, they're done and over with by the time you recognize it's happening or had happened. So we take a look here, we can see we got our expansive phase here. We're currently in our manipulative phase, basically trapping late shorts potentially, right? And then of course, so we got an expansive phase here coming up potentially if we were to see a break above that current resistance at 343. So if we can consolidate in this range here and hang out, there's a good chance we're going to continue higher to destroy any late shorts. All right, so that's kind of how that manipulation works. Keep in mind, and it's completely contradictory. That's how this coin tends to work. It works opposite of what Bitcoin does in a lot of cases. But Bitcoin's also showing an inverse power of 3, which is very concerning too. We could see the price action pull back. So a lot of little things factoring in here. These are just these are just patterns. You don't want to just focus on them solely. We look at everything else too and make sure. But good news is these late longs got destroyed. We got a good solid amount of support below us, and that open interest area is pretty heavy. So for the most part, we're looking pretty solid here and decent for this coin. Further upside does make more sense. Just note we got a solid resistance at 343 above us. So if Bitcoin can start trending back towards 95K plus, get above its local point of control, and then SUI effectively close above 343 today, I think there's a solid chance we're going to go a little bit higher here. It just kind of has that feeling. Okay, now you don't trade on feelings or emotions, but I've been covering SUI for a long time, and this coin does tend to surprise you or defy the laws of trading. Having said that, daily time frame looks pretty good here. We can recognize that we're in position right now too, where the price action is essentially moving its way up here, right? So we're getting closer to 70 in the RSI. Stochastic is swinging down, and MACD's kind of diverging, hasn't fully done so yet, but minus those momentous indicators, there's a good chance we continue we continue a little bit higher here. We look at the 4-hour time frame. We want to recognize this here too. We can see that we are in a position right now where the price action is essentially above and below moving averages. This is not a good sign, not a great thing, but it is what it is. We can see MACDs converging and stochastic swinging down. So we got some confliction. All right. Typically, when things are conflicting in patterns and everything's kind of like telling you it's going to go up and down at the same time, that's usually the best time not to trade. So just friendly advice. If you're forced into a trade right now, it may not be the best call. But once more, we got just as much statistical probability of the price going up than it is go down. What we need to see is for this to kind of hold and maintain its range, because you can kind of see on the smaller time frames. And I don't usually use this for confirmation, but we got this kind of this smaller little type of rectangle pattern here. So the price continues higher here. We can maintain above 343. Bitcoin successfully removes its head from its ass. Boom, we're going up here to complete that manipulation wave. So there's a lot of little things that are more positive than negative. I would say I'm leaning slightly more towards the price going up than down, but I'm also not super convinced. I'd love to hear your thoughts though. Why don't you comment below, like, subscribe, follow if you haven't yet already. Join us on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. We got some really good information there for you. I got a new short setup here, shorts basically for the videos. And then last but not least, Bitunix, folks, check these guys out. No KYC or VPN required. Phenomenal exchange is an exchange that we use solely as a community. So if you're part of my community, make sure you take advantage of these deposit reward bonuses for right now, between now and May 14th. All right, folks, have a good rest of the day. I deeply appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.